Hello there YouTube, Devin here again. Sorry I haven't made a video in a while. I've been having some fucking issues with an infection that I'm gonna need to get some surgery for coming up here pretty fucking soon, hopefully. Till then, I'm on some pretty fucking sweet antibiotics I gotta go get refilled, and a shit ton of pain pills. But other than that, I'm actually feeling pretty decent today. So don't worry about me. I'm gonna be fine. So it's nothing super major. But if something doesn't happen soon, it could become something fairly major. So but nothing too serious. So don't worry about me, you guys. But I brought this cool video here for you today. It's not on something all that important military-wise as most of the channels, but this has a lot of sentimental value to me. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of these, so but it is an old 22 rifle. Nothing super fancy about it or anything like that. This is a JC Higgins Model 30 made for the Sears and Roebuck company. So this is a 1950s produced one. It's a tube-fed under the barrel 22 long rifle. The magazine is basically like a lot of those old kind of Civil War rifles where you rotate it and you pull this big tube out from under the barrel, and there's where you put your shells in, and then you would slide the tube down, and it would the tube contains a follower and a big spring, and it will feed your rounds into the chamber. So it's kind of a pain in the ass to line up because this tube is a little bent. This rifle was won by my grandfather and given to my father as his first ever firearm, and now it's mine. This is actually the first ever firearm I ever shot. As with most of you, you probably have shot a similar rifle to this. A little 22 long rifle was probably the rifle you learned to shoot on quite well. And then this rifle was lost after my father died for many years, and I never thought I'd see it again. And about a year ago, it was given to me by my godfather, who took it, I guess, after he died when all of his shit was split up and everything like that. I looked for it for forever, and I thought it just ended up going into the dump. So, but here it is, and it's actually a very comfortable, very easy to point, especially if you're somebody like me who has actually relatively small hands. This is a very comfortable rifle to hold, a very comfortable rifle to move around with and operate with. One of the coolest features on it is this sling. The sling is a red piece of nylon, and it's on a, well, it needs to be kind of lubed, but it's on a spring tension wheel, so it's retracting and it's housed in the buttstock. But you bring it all the way up, and you rotate it upside down, and you can hook it on this little triangular tab right here, and there you go. You have a self-tensioning sling. When it wants to, it does need to be lubed and cleaned. This rifle does quite badly. But there you go. You see, it has a self-tensioning sling, and then if you don't want the sling, it's just a simple rotate and a little finagling, and it'll go back into its housing. So sometimes the spring needs a little help because it's kind of choked with a lot of like really sticky grease from years of oil buildup and not actually being cleaned out. But it's a neat little rifle, a neat little semi-automatic rifle. So I figured I'd take it apart today and show you guys how that all happens actually. So the main thing, basically all you need to take apart this rifle is a flathead screwdriver, because there's two screws on it. There's one here underneath the fore end, and then there's one here right behind the trigger, and that's all you need to disassemble this rifle. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. So a couple screw turns here. All right, take this screw out. A couple screw turns here. Now this actually has it's pretty common to find a lot of these with a broken stock because the wood on them is very thin, and the buttstock tends to be broken as well because it's mostly hollow to hold that spring that holds the sling. So that thing needs to be taken apart as well, and that's just two screws. I'm not going to do that for you today, but that's just two screws on the buttstock that comes off the butt pad. I'll flip it around here for you. See, the butt pad there has 2 screws, and those 2 screws just come off, and it's just housed in there. You could just pull the whole assembly out and clean it, which I'm gonna have to do, but I'm much more showing you how to take care of the actual firearm today. You don't need the sling to make sure the firearm works. So we're gonna just keep undoing the screw, help it out a little bit. This is a rather long screw because it goes through the whole action. This is what holds the trigger assembly in and everything like that as well. So how you're gonna take this apart then is remove the stock, which the stock should just come off, and this is why they're mostly broken. Those very, very thin bits of wood tend to be how these are broken, but that's the only spot that you really have to worry about it wood-wise. So are those really, really thin kind of side plates, so just be very careful with those. And then this is what the whole action looks like. Charging handles on the other side. It's not a very big charging handle, so with the stock on, it's actually really hard to get a positive purchase on. But the only thing holding the whole action together was that screw that went through the stock all the way through the thing. And so basically all you have to do to remove the action is now pull it down on the trigger guard, and there's your whole guts of the rifle. It's got your hammer on it, your striker and everything, as you can see right here. So there's your hammer now cocked. If we take the safety off, here you go, boop, pops up. This, as you can see, is very dirty and greasy from years of not being cleaned, so I need to get around to do that. And then to remove the bolt, you just need to operate the charging handle, and it should drop right out. So there's your this is your bolt assembly. Runs on a little guide rail. It's just square, nice ejector on it. There's your firing pin, spring-loaded firing pin for your 22. Don't know if you can see that moving there. Your little 22 long rifle round. Very, very easy rifle to take apart, clean, disassemble, and use. Very, very nice parts, despite the fact that this rifle, when it was originally manufactured, was super, super cheap. Another thing is that these rifles were actually known for having a very high amount of accuracy, because despite being a 22 long rifle, the barrel on it is ungodly thick and just way more than it has to be, and that's kind of what gives this rifle the accuracy that they were known for. The Sears and Roebuck's rifles all tended to have these very, very super heavy barrels on them. That's where basically the precision in this rifle comes. But now we'll go with how to put it back together. So the bolt here has this little cutout on the side of it, that vertical cut there. That needs to be slid over a little knob. You probably can't see it in here on the operating rod, so you got to pull the operating rod back a little bit, and it should just plop right down in there. Okay, and then you got to make sure it's far enough back so it could run in a vertical, so there's that vertical cut in the bolt there, and then there's a horizontal track that the bolt needs to ride in. So, and then in order to put this assembly back, you need to cock it, all right? Pull the operating system back, kind of rock it into place. So do that up here for you a little bit. So you gotta hold the op rod back a little bit. Make sure that little cup slides over the protruding bit of the, so that would be the follower in the magazine tube. That needs to go into that little spot, all right? And then there you go. It's all put together. You can let it forward. Okay, you're all set, and then put the stock back on. Perfect. So, nothing super fancy done with this whole rifle. So just make sure you hold this tight, because the trigger group will tend to want to fall out if you leave it, sitting for too long, facing downward. So we'll just get the now push through screw put in place. So if I get the stock lined up right, there you go. Screw that all back in place. So this the bit of the reason I got to tell you to be fragile with the stock is because the thing that this screws into, okay, that goes all the way through the action. The nut that it screws into is only on the opposite piece of wood that sticks through the whole action. So right here is the nut that screw holds into, and it's only in this piece of wood. So if you break off one of these wood wings, your screw isn't going to positively connect into anything, which means the trigger assembly is going to keep falling out. So these were actually very fragile rifles in that regard. But overall, still, I'm very happy with this rifle. I've never had any problems with it. Accuracy-wise, not that I remember shooting it much as a kid, but recently, even as dirty as it is, still brought it out and test shot it, and it worked incredibly well. And you can get one of these for very, very cheap, and these actually have a decent amount of history behind them. They weren't the most popular models in America. Most of them, you know, the most popular .22 rifle in America being the Ruger 1022, but I do believe that these can give them a run for their money. You could buy one of these still on Gunbroker and other sites for around $200 in pretty much immaculate condition. Very excellent rifle. Not a lot to go wrong with it. Very sealed system. And once again, I said the accuracy due to that very, very heavy barrel. As well as you get this nice under tube barrel kind of system. And that cool retractable sling. That's probably the coolest part of this rifle is that cool retractable sling. Honestly, which I thought was just a cool, innovative feature that you really only see on one of these types of rifles. So, thank you so much for watching, you guys. Once again, don't worry about me with the whole infection and everything like that. It's nothing too major. But there will be more videos coming after that. A lot of it is just I'm really trying hard to find the energy around work and not eating all that super great or really at all. And everything like that to make it through to this. But hopefully I got a vacation coming up here on the 9th and 10th, and hopefully I could get this surgery done, be up and out of the hospital in a day or two, and up walking around anyways, doing stuff, and hopefully get some videos made for you with some lighter impact stuff. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.